welcome back to Robert's Reviews. Today we are continuing the MCU, which is a long series. We've been doing this in September. Can you believe that? We're heading up on the 6-month anniversary soon, actually. I gotta make sure I know when that is. But today we have a very big disappointment. Last week we had, what was it, Defenders? Yeah, the Defenders Season 1, which was one of the best things in the MCU, in my opinion. And we're following it up, of course, with Inhumans Season 1. Inhumans Season 1 was released in 2017. And, what a disappointment. So I watched this while I was still in college, which, granted, wasn't too long ago. I'm a little ahead in terms of watching the MCU stuff, because I started watching the series in order again in May, of last year, I should say, May of last year. And it's taken me a while, but then I didn't start filming until September. So I'm ahead a lot. In terms of watching, but not reviewing. But today, talking about Inhumans brings back so many negative memories. First of all, I was in college and not particularly having the greatest time of my life. While it's not bad, I had some not fun experiences in college. Again, not bad, but nothing great. And I just finished watching The Defenders, which I watched all 8 hours in one day. And then I watched all 8 hours of Inhumans in one day and was incredibly disappointed. One of the worst things I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll start out telling you right now, it is not worth watching, and for any reason. Even if you're watching the MCU straight through, I watched it on principle. You should watch it on principle, I would assume. But if you don't care about the rules, skip it. You'll miss nothing. There's nothing in terms, at least as of yet, that has anything to do with Inhumans at all. It is nothing it connects at all, not at all, with any Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season that I've seen so far. I've seen all, except for the last two. I'm assuming they're not going to bring it up there either. There's no way they want to talk about this show at all. But essentially what happens is we have two brothers, right? We have Maximus and Black Bolt. Black Bolt is the king of their world. They have a planet. And they are all Inhumans, so they have special powers. The people that don't get special powers are treated poorly than others. So Maximus doesn't have a superpower. So he is like the weak one. He's seen as the weak one, so he can't be king. Black Bolt, who, if he even breathes loud, will destroy a city. It's cool power. They didn't use it ever, literally once. It was kind of dumb. But Black Bolt has the power, so he's allowed to rule, even though he can't speak. Which, don't even get me started on that, but whatever. Maximus is upset because the working class is made of the regular humans. They're looked down upon. They're raced, which is wrong. And so Maximus is like, I'm going to take over. And he basically bans Black Bolt and Medusa and Kamek and all those people down to Earth, where they kind of get lost and this weird thing, even though it doesn't make any sense at all that they got lost. Come on. I don't buy it for a second. I'm upset with how that works. But the premise is okay, where Maximus is like, I'm going to take over as king. But then he becomes the bad guy, even though... Okay. America. Okay, let's start with America. We have the whole civil rights movement, right? That was a thing that happened in the past. It's still happening. We agree that all people of all race and colors should have the same equal rights, right? Okay, that is a basic American thing, okay? Which Maximus stood for, okay? Maximus was like, we got to get these people back up, okay? And then he becomes the bad guy. So then it's like, are we teaching America to think that way? Are we doing that? Which... I know we're not, and I know people aren't going to think that way because of this. They're going to think that way because they were born with awful parents. But still, what? It feels wrong in our brains. It literally feels wrong in our brains because we're so used to fighting for justice and fighting for these things, and this show is no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't make the good guy that we want to vote for and we want to see be successful. We can't make him the bad guy. It makes us not like the good guy. It makes us hate everyone in the show. which is exactly what happened in this show. I hated every character. I wanted them all to lose. I wanted the whole thing to blow up and to lose and go away forever, which thankfully it did when the show got canceled. Oh my goodness. So bad. That was a little mini rant. I'm very sorry. If you want a whole video about how I think that America's weird and stuff, I can put a video out of that. If you want that, drop in the comments down below, and I'll consider making it just for you. But other than just the strict basis of how wrong the show is, it's also just very bad. The special effects are garbage. I don't use the word garbage very often. They're garbage. They're very bad. There's a couple acting things that are like pretty good, pretty decent, with just awful stuff. Like, if I was a good actor, I'm not. But if I was, I wouldn't want to be in that show anyway. Like, even if it was the only job available, I would just, nope. Awful, 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 awful. These people must be tainted. Their acting career must be tainted by this. It was so bad. So bad. I would not recommend anybody to watch this. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the acting that I thought was at least okay. First, Anson Mount as Black Bolt. The acting was, like, not awful. It was bad because he couldn't speak, which is really annoying. But it was good to a certain extent because he can give these looks that like you could, like, see what he was thinking, which is almost cool, but it felt very comical sometimes, which, like, particularly when he gets stranded on Earth, he's, like, looking around for stuff, and because he can't talk and stuff. It was dumb. It, like, this show could have been everything you wanted it to be if you didn't make it funny and awful. But overall, his acting wasn't awful. I think it was fine. I think it would have been better if he could freaking speak, but whatever. Serinda Swan as Medusa. Didn't really like her performance. Didn't really care for her character. Maybe I didn't like the performance because I don't like her character, but she got this weird hair that can fly around and grab stuff, but then they cut it so that she's normal again. And it's like, well, then why am I watching, right? There's really no good reason. In general, didn't really care for her. I'm not going to go ahead and say she's bad, because I think she was probably fine. I just didn't particularly care for the character. Ken Leung as Kamek. Kamek is, like, banished to Earth, and he's, like, with this really cool fighting guy. And he meets a really nice girl. And I just wanted to mention that I thought his acting was fantastic. Didn't really care for the character very much, but I think his acting was really, really cool. He was able to express emotions, and he was so honest that it just felt like some other actors in this show just were lazy, and he was really carrying a lot of the scenes because they were all separated. So his scenes were the ones that I was way more interested in than anybody else's. So props to you. And finally, Iwan Rheon as Maximus. I think this is the best performance of the show. I really enjoyed the performance, particularly in the beginning where he's seen as lower because he doesn't have a power. But then he gets power hungry and he tries to get a power, and it's just, it's dumb. It's so dumb. And then we hate him, right? We hate him, but he's also, like, kind of the good guy. And now we're like, okay, but now do we root for Black Bolt, who is for racism? No, you can't do that either. They made me hate every person. I'm like, I wanted Iron Man to come by and kill all of them. Like, it was, but, sorry, his performance. His performance was really good. I actually think he was fine. I don't think that he could have been worse. Like, in terms of his character, could not have been worse. Like, that must have been the most difficult thing to act, because you have to be the good bad guy. It's never good to be the good bad guy. It's never fun. I can't explain in good words how much I despise this show and wish it didn't exist. Especially considering it kind of ties into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the way that, like, there are Inhumans, sort of. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is way better than this. Way better. My suggestion is only watch this if you are a die-hard MCU fan who wants to watch everything in order. But if you don't care that those are the rules, I 100% say skip this. And I'm going to give it the lowest rating that Roberts Reviews has ever dished out so far. And I'm going to give it an F+. An F+ because I think the acting was fine. I couldn't find an F+ grade, so I just found an F- one, and then I digitalized. I went in and I edited it to a plus. I think it looks pretty good considering it was freehand in my editor. I do like my editor a lot. For those of you who are curious, I edit my thumbnails and a bunch of pictures and stuff through Paint 3D. and then I use Windows Movie Maker to edit the videos. But that's going to do it for me today. Coming up this week, we have Cafe Society. There's a movie coming out tomorrow. Do I have access to that movie? It's called something on the... Oh, Sponge on the Run. That's right. The SpongeBob movie comes out tomorrow. Wow. There's a good chance I'll watch that, and there's a good chance I'll review it, so I'll look out for that tomorrow probably. And then Friday looks crazy. There's Boss Level, Chaos Walking. Looks like the finale of WandaVision, and I will be reviewing Pay It Forward. Assuming all that's still happening, that'll happen. I mean, I'm filming this like almost a month in advance, but we'll see how it goes. But that's going to do it for me today. As always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.